Welcome back to the Chosen Life Podcast, magical episode 144, the I Love episode.
Right.
And I love this guest. He's back for a third week. This man is the epitome of styling and profiling. It is not Ric Flair. It is the one and only. He's back, Lahav Reznik.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Macho
I
Man.
know, but that's pretty good Macho Man, wasn't
That's
it?
a pretty good Macho Man.
I'm so happy to be here.
Unfortunately, we lost the Macho
I
Man
know.
years ago.
Yeah.
You know, he had a heart attack while driving his Jeep.
Yeah.
And unfortunate ending to a great wrestler. Before he was a professional wrestler, do you know what the Macho Man was up to?
Did he sell real estate?
Close.
No way. What did he do?
He was a professional baseball player.
Okay.
And he actually should have made the majors, but if not for a knee injury that knocked him out, he would have been a ball player. And his dad, being a professional wrestler, brought him into the circuit, and his brother. And lo and behold, he had to go on to a wrestling movie career, Slim Jims. Not a bad life.
Yeah, you know what? My story is actually similar as well. I almost ended up playing pro basketball in the NBA, and I also had an issue that kept me. It was skill, and so I couldn't make the NBA just based on skill. So there you go. Very similar story.
It's funny how we all do our moonlighting thing, you know, because I've heard from our videographer, it turns out, you know, small world, he brought me into shoes, and then I brought you into shoes. You guys play in the same basketball league. Like, It is a small world. It's funny how that goes. We all moonlight as different things. Besides being a real estate corporate lawyer at Kormans LLP.
You're an author.
And podcasting. I'm also an author. We got here, right?
Yep.
The Bible 3.0.
Yep.
We didn't talk about this in a previous week, but the world premiere of the book and the bookmark. Check out this bad boy. Wow. Hot off the presses.
Love it.
Right? And the
Love
back.
Yeah. Here
we go.
If you're not ready to love yourself, you will not hear anything anyone has to say. It makes sense, man.
It's funny because my publisher put that out in the ads, and I said, that's a great quote. Who wrote that? And she said to me, that was you. I'm like, I said that? Because it's funny, when I write, I get into this trance, basically. Every time I went to write this book, it was always on a Sunday at the cottage. First thing in the morning, I wake up, take a shower, grab a coffee, and I would write from 7, 8 a.m. till about 12, 1 p.m. And the next day when I came home and woke up, went to go back and read what I'd written, didn't remember writing it, like always in that trance. So reading that quote, I'm like, I said that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, see, the skill. You got skill. That's amazing, buddy.
We try.
Love
So, you know, we're talking about life and skills and luxury and all this great stuff. This is part 2 from last week. So last week we're talking about kicks. You had last week my favorite pair, right? The Chameleons.
Yep.
And now this week you have one of my second or third favorite pairs, the Yin Yangs.
Yes. So, and look, these are, again, easy, straightforward, black and white, nice and simple. Do one of those so you can see them. Also hard to get. Like, go figure. And again, I wear these, so it's interesting how the world is.
It's another one which sat on the shelves forever. If they're not a hype, nobody wants them. And then as soon as they're sold out, now everybody wants them. Funny how that works out. I love them from the beginning. Did you ever do a thing because there's the
1-in-1?
There's the white pair there with the black laces and the black swoosh, and then they did the exact same thing with the black and the white. Do you wear one of the other? Did you mix and match them?
I did. I had good seats at a Raptors game years ago, and I wanted to change them. I couldn't decide which ones to wear for the night.
Yes.
And the wife suggested just do 1-in-1. I'm like, is it? She goes, I go, is this silly? She goes, who cares? Like, just if you're okay with it, just go out and wear it. So yeah, I did do that once. And it's not an often thing, but yeah, it was fun.
What did Drake say when he saw them?
He actually pointed to the person behind me, and so he really didn't interact with me, unfortunately. But yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah.
When you like sneakers in life, tends to be that you like watches as well.
Yeah.
So I was just having this conversation with a watch aficionado, and we're talking about Rolexes because, of course, everybody loves to talk about Rolex when you talk about watches. You've had that one on your arm for as long as I've known you, and you being a lefty, right? So you have the watch on the right arm.
I'm a righty wearing the watch on the right arm. Yeah, it's
Huh?
So first of all, for clarity purposes, automatic. So I don't have to wind it. All right, that's not even a thing.
Yes.
For whatever reason, I'm just comfortable with it. Like, I can write no problem. And there are a few weird people like me out there. So yeah, so I'm a righty with this on the right hand.
Huh.
Yeah.
I could have sworn all this time you were a lefty because you
No.
always wore your watch
No.
on your right arm.
No.
So now the left-handed version of the Rolex sub out there is called the
I don't actually know.
Destro. I believe it's called the Destro.
Oh, okay. There you go. See?
Yeah.
I am not an aficionado. It's like with cigars. It's like with many. Like I know what I like. I know what I like. What I like is what I like, and I don't need to dig too deep into it. Even with the shoes, I know what I like, and if I don't have that one pair that everybody has because it's the pair to get, I'm okay with that. I know what I like. I buy what I like. I smoke what I like. I drink what I like. I wear what I like. So yeah. So this for me is I've been wearing it. I wear it always. It's my daily wear. Has been bulletproof. And it's just a fun watch.
I don't know if I can really say this because I don't want to give people ideas, but man, you also leave that watch around everywhere. You like to take it off.
I do.
And I think how many times I could have had that watch. But
What a funny story about this watch.
What's that?
So, bought the watch out of the States. I got a great deal through a close friend's parents. They've bought multiple watches from this guy. They connected me with him. They're no longer selling Rolexes, so no point giving them a shout out. But it was out of Chicago. Shipped it UPS with insurance to Niagara Falls or to Buffalo. To Buffalo. So just like many people do, I drove across the border, picked up the watch. It was about 4 sizes too big. Put it on my wrist. Took the box and hid the box in the car, and I crossed the border. Okay, cool. Now,
Such a rookie mistake.
I get it. I could have shipped the box, and I could have done this.
You shipped the box.
You know what?
The box.
I wanted the box. And I wasn't sure if I was even going to wear the watch. I was just happy to have it. So I get home. We're clearing out everything out of the car because we spent a few nights in Niagara Falls. Clear everything out of the car. Take the watch. Put it back into the box because it wasn't ready to wear. As soon as I crossed the border, I did that. Take the box. Put it on the hood of the car. Brought everything inside. Left the watch on the hood of the car. In the box. So there's this, the boxes, they come in a white sleeve. So there's this white sleeve box with a green enclosed with a, nice watch inside. Left it on the hood for 6 hours. And I'm sitting downstairs ready to watch TV. And now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to take the links out now. So I go and I'm like, where's my watch? And I'm like, where did you put my watch? I got to blame everybody else except myself. Where did you put the watch? And then I backtracked everything and the wife did the whole turn the cups upside down. Maybe we're going to remember where the watch was. And I'm like, oh. And I walk outside and I'm praying and I go to look on the car, on the hood, and it's sitting there on the hood. So yeah, that's my crazy watch story. Yeah.
So I'm not advocating for this whatsoever, but stories I've heard of how people did it as far as bringing watches across the border. Number one, they do it on a day when stores are open. So they go to the watch store to get the watch sized. Then they wear a long sleeve shirt over the watch as they're crossing the border. Then they fold down the box. They ship the box separately as a gift from one address. Then they take the papers, don't ship it with the box, but the papers separately in an envelope. That's how I've heard people do it.
Right.
Heard.
Yeah.
Heard.
Yeah.
My story as far as, whoa, I can't believe I did that. So I'm at my yoga studio at the time. And they changed their locker system, and they have built-in lockers, and you have to punch in set your own code, lock it, and then remember your code to unlock it, right? So I'm wearing my chain, I'm wearing a prez, and I didn't think I was going to go to yoga that day. Turns out I'm going to yoga, so I put it in the locker, okay? Go practice yoga, come out of yoga, and...
So do you practice yoga, or do you do yoga?
You practice yoga.
Practice yoga. Okay.
So let's be clear, because you're not doing yoga. Why? Because there's no doing yoga. Yoga, like life, is just a series of practices.
Okay.
You never actually do it.
Just for clarification.
Just practice yoga.
All right, go on.
Yeah. Like a professional baseball player is doing baseball. They're not practicing in yoga.
Okay.
You're just practicing because you're not working up to anything, because it's a road to nowhere, but everywhere.
Got it.
Namaste. So come back. And in the typical yoga fashion classes, there's about, a 20-to-1 ratio of females to males. So it's me and one other guy in the class, in the full class, right? So I'm liking my odds not to worry about the locker room. Come back to the locker room. Going to go and unlock my lock and get out the chain in the watch. I twist the lock to start. It opens up.
No, you didn't lock it. Oh.
No, I did lock it. And I tried it out 20 times after. Did not realize the lock was busted.
Oh.
And I thought I had tested it. Obviously didn't test it well enough. If somebody would have been dishonest and had tried that lock, they could have gotten a nice gift.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So we got lucky. There
You know
go.
that minute when your heart literally falls
Oh,
down
yeah.
to your feet?
That's when I realized it was on the hood, and
Yeah.
I'm running to the door. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like anybody who've ever had their house broken into. I had just got a Batman, and I remember coming home, and that's why you don't live on the first floor of a condo, by the way, generally. And depending on how it's situated, this one had a perfect out to a back area. So I'm walking and I see a cloth down in the hallway, and I'm like, oh, that cloth looks like mine. That's weird. And then I go to unlock my door and I open. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think I really unlocked this thing. And I open up. I see one of my filing cabinets are open, and I'm like, again, heart sinks to the bottom. What's the first thing they went for? The Rolex box.
Oh.
First thing. But guess what? I was wearing it that day.
Yeah. See.
I was
There
wearing
you
it that day. You know what? And what did they end up taking? My worthless baseball card collection.
Yeah. Well,
All my favorite sentimental stuff, maybe we'll get them $100 if they're lucky. Gone. But that's where, again, you insure stuff. Depending on what it is, life goes on.
exactly.
So we talked about how we got into the world of sneakers. Who got you into the world of watches or timepieces?
I would probably say, I never thought about this. I would probably say a good buddy of mine, Adi. And that's the same
Same guy.
You know, he's the son-in-law of the family that introduced me to the Rolex seller. They're Rolex family, if you will, and so he basically he has a two-tone sub, really nice gold
Blue dial?
not a blue dial, but it's beautiful watch. He also wears it all the time, so yeah, it was basically him, and it was for my 40th, which was a few years ago, and so he was the one that got me into it, and ever since then it becomes like many things, it becomes an addiction. So
Yeah, it's an illness. It's an
Yeah.
illness through and through. For mine, it's the same for this as the next topic as cars, the watches. My older brother, who really raised me like a father, because I lost my dad at a young age as well. And I remember I was in high school, grade 9, grade 10, and he comes to me in the thick Israeli accent. You're going to be a man, you need a nice watch. Very important in life, you know?
right.
And my gateway was the tag, you know, and from the tag, you go to Omega, some people go Breitling and everything else. Do you realize when you look back at things, how spoiled we were back in the day? The way watches used to be, like, people now, they're like, oh, I'm on a wait list, I'm going to get my Rolex in 10 years or something. Back then, back in our day, which was forever, by the way, this is how it used to be forever and ever before COVID, you could go to any store, get almost any Rolex. You're going to pay no tax, 15% off. That was pretty industry standard. It was so
That was
sweet.
a while ago. That wasn't quite just before COVID. It was a while ago.
Your memory's a little hazy, but it's okay. But, you know, in ballparkish. But what I'm saying is, for at least a good 15-year run and whatever before,
Sure.
things used to be a lot different. You'll rarely see me with a Rolex, even though I do have Rolexes. But I got into different stuff for my reasons. But what I tell people is, look, there's hype and there's what you like. The one thing is, don't look at magazines. Actually go to the store and try the bloody thing on. You know how many people I know, Lahav, that saw it on somebody's wrist, saw it on TV, saw it in the movie and said, I have to have it, got it ordered, and then they're never freaking wearing it because they're like, yeah, it doesn't suit me.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing that I like. For you, it was a gradual process. You went from, you know, one watch, wore it for a while, then you traded it in, got another watch, added a little money, wore it for a while, you know, got used to it. You either decided to keep it or then trade that one in, go for another watch. So that was your way of kind of transitioning from one to another, which is a great way to do it. You know, and when you think about it, you're about to talk about cars. A lot of people do that with cars too, right? You know, you'll drive something for a while, certain thing, you'll own it, you'll then trade it in, get something a little bit better, add a little bit of money, get something a little bit better, add a little bit of money. Now, again, sorry, better is relative. That's not I'm not trying to.
No, teach their own. Teach their own.
It's all relative. Something different. How's that?
And not everybody has the means, which I get it. But one thing I say is like this, and this is just being respectful, obviously. But a lot of watches, $500, $1,000. You buy that watch brand new in the store, the money ain't coming back. It's done. That's it. Like, you know, there's not much of a resale market on it.
Right.
Depending on what the watch market is. I'm wearing an IWC right now. Average person that goes to buy this at full retail in the store, the second you walk out of the store, it's dropped in half. That's the way life is. And what I teach people, what I learned as I went along, if you know how to buy right, you're renting them for free all day long.
So now let's transition to cars for a second.
Sure.
So let's talk about this. So watch isn't something necessarily that you need. It's a want. It's not really a need. In many cases,
your phone tells you the time. The
Right.
clock on the wall tells you the
in
time.
fairness, not something you need. It's
wants.
it's a want.
Sure.
A car in many cases is going to be a need. In many cases, not all cases, but in most cases, a car is a need. So now you've got to ask yourself, all right, if you can get yourself into a certain vehicle that's going to hold its value, to an extent, right? Now, generally in the unluxury world, if you will, not many vehicles will hold their value. You're gonna drive them, and they're gonna depreciate automatically as soon as you get off the lot, like you just said. But you're gonna get some use out of it, and you may be able to, after a period of time, be able to sell it and still salvage something. But when you get into the luxury car world, if you pick the right car, you ultimately, in theory, in many cases, not every vehicle, not every style and every make, but in many cases, you can get into a vehicle, drive it within reason, drive the vehicle, summertime, kilometers here, kilometers there, and then turn around and sell it for what you bought it for. So now you've ultimately, for 2-year period or 3-year period, driven a vehicle for nothing. Where where most people are leasing vehicles at whatever, $1,000 a month, $800 a month, $2,500 a month. You're leasing these vehicles, that money's gone. Where if you can get to the point where you have the means to get into a car that will hold its value, or in some cases even appreciate, which does happen as well, then that's the route to go. That you reach a certain point.
Look, when I was young and I had the time and the patience, whatever else, I didn't have the means financially, I would buy a car that's 5+ years old, low kilometer. I would drive it for a year and sell it for the same or more money. I was driving cars for free all day long.
Perfect example.
But then you reach an age, you're like, I don't have the time or patience or anything else. Plus, as I've experienced, trying to get a beater car, man, Facebook Marketplace and dealing with people on Facebook Marketplace is bad enough. But for cars, never again.
I got a great story for you.
Please.
So I was the guy that would, so again, my dad was a mechanic. We talked about this in a previous episode.
Yes.
I had a car from the age of 14, 15. I was driving, illegally, going to get parts for my dad at the local part place. And I would...
Statute of limitations is up on that.
Yeah, that's why I'm mentioning it right now. But I would always have a vehicle because he always had junkers around. There was always a car. And I would keep fixing them up and selling them and fixing them up and selling them, very similar to the real estate world. And so what ended up happening was I found a new way of being able to drive a vehicle for a long period of time without investing a lot and leasing it at a low amount. I would go to lease busters. Now, this is going back 22 years, let's say.
I remember when they were the thing. Yes.
So I would find the one guy who or lady or person that would put, they put $15,000 cash down on their car. So they've got low payments, and now they have to get out of the vehicle. So here I am now taking over that vehicle, low payments, okay, and I'm driving it for a couple of years. A car that should have been $1,000 a month, I'm driving for $400 a month. So I've got this luxury vehicle, if you will, and I'm driving it around, and then I'm into the next car, So one time, I get into, so I'm driving Infiniti FX. I used to love them, a 35, and I wanted the 45. The 45 had the exhaust was louder, and it was a little bit more luxurious, and so I find this guy selling this vehicle because he's up north. He doesn't need the vehicle anymore, and he's moving south into Toronto and doesn't need the extra vehicle. So trying to get out of it, he put down a Pathfinder onto it, which was about a $20,000 equivalent. This car was leasing at the time. This is going back again 20 years approximately. It was leasing at the time for about $1,200 a month. I picked it up.
That's big money 20 years ago.
It's big money for a 24-year-old, 25-year-old, right? Like it's like I would never ever spend any of that money.
In today's currency, that's over $2,000 a month.
At least. So that car I picked up at $349 a month because he had paid it down so much, and it had low kilometers, and he kept it in great condition. Yep. Amazing. Now, the gentleman's name, which I'm not going to mention, was a very unique name, and he was a very unique gentleman, very tall, like very memorable. His name was more memorable than anything else. So fast forward 10 years. We're in this neighborhood. It's just being built.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a street two blocks north, and this was the time when I was buying homes and flipping them with my wife. Yeah. 2 blocks north, house comes up for sale, and it's like out of our reach. And it comes up for sale, and I'm watching this house, and it was, at the time, whatever it was, it came down 100,000, came down another 100,000, and meanwhile we were in another property that we just upgraded that went up. and I'm watching it. And then for whatever reason, I'd seen it all along, but I noticed the name of the seller on there because we have access to that.
Yeah.
It was the same guy selling this house. And I looked at Karen, I'm like, we need to buy this house. We need to. 3 weeks later, we ended up buying the house at $100K less than he bought it from the builder at. It was brand new. It was basically a year old. $100K less than what he bought it from the builder at the time. This was crazy. It was crazy. It was. I'd have to check the year on it. I want to say 2004, maybe, but it was a while ago. Same guy. So got his car, got the house.
Amazing. Did you ever hear the story about the New York Yankees that back, I think it was in the 70s, that they were best friends and their wives were best friends as well. And they were a great couple friends. And at one point, they made the most unique baseball trade ever. They literally traded families. One moved into the other one's house. The divorced wife.
I heard pieces
They
of
even
that.
traded dogs. Like,
I heard pieces of that. Listen,
so-
whatever makes you happy.
what was your first car ever, Lahav?
Again, like first car ever was an old, like a 78 Ventura. So that wouldn't count as my first car. The first car that I worked hard for, so there's two vehicles. The first car I worked hard for, I had to do all the repairs on it. My dad basically had to repo it from the guy because he left the country, wouldn't pay. It stood there. We had to go through the courts and get it handed to him. It was a 1979 RX-7. Okay, so they had a rotary engine at the time, rotary engine. All my boys from high school, you guys remember this, that car. So it was a cherry red, but it had the engine. What they did was they converted the rotary into a rotary with a 4-barrel double pumper Holley carb. So it was a faster version of the RX-7. So that was the first. And then while I had that car, I kept fixing cars and selling them and fixing cars.
Yeah.
And then the 5-liter Mustang, trunk back in Burgundy.
What year?
5-speed, 89.
If you could get one or two of those cars back now, would
89. I would do the 89 again, but I would probably resto mod it. I would change the entire interior. I would upgrade the braking system. There was a lot of fun. Again, to my high school buddies, like some of the stories we had with those cars was crazy.
If you could get back one of those, the exact car, exact, and like somehow in a perfect world, you could find it and you could have it back, would you want them back?
For fun, yeah, absolutely. I love classics.
Yeah.
I love classics.
But there's something special about having yours back. Like
my actual car?
your actual car, man. Like,
yeah, like
there's something about the watch you wore, the car you drove. You can have that like, actual one. Like, it's one thing about getting the exact same model of watch, but to have your watch,
it would be the Mustang.
Mustang.
It would be that Mustang. Yeah, for sure.
Do you know my first car?
Chevelle?
No, it was an 85 Camaro Berlinetta.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Burgundy, with burgundy interior, and had the gold rims.
Oh, yeah. I raced many of those. I remember those.
And back then, did not have a lot of horsepower. Even though it's the big V8,
Yeah.
they produced nothing because of the California emissions and all that stuff.
It was a heavy car, too. That's why.
So I decided at one point, I want my first car back. And I just don't want back the model of my car. I want my first car
How are you going
back.
to find your car?
Dude, I wrote a blog about this thing, and I should send it to you. I never told you, so look, can I talk about it on the air?
Yeah, for sure.
So I have it in my head. I want to find my exact car, right? So how do you find everything? Well, you're going to need the VIN because you need to order the used car package. Can't find the VIN anywhere.
I wouldn't be able to. Yeah, that's okay. Go on.
I speak to my brother, and he goes to me, I have your records and stuff. I literally just shredded that stuff last month. I go, you've been keeping this thing for like 20 plus years, and you just shredded last week or last month. Yep, it's gone. So I said, okay, I'm thinking. So I realized, hold on. I go look through my photo album. I find a picture of the car with me and the license plate at the time. If you go do a license plate search, you can find from the license plate search exactly what cars were attached to license plate ever.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
including the VINs.
Right.
So then I go do that and I search the VIN then and I get the owners. I remember a woman went to come and see the car with her boyfriend, I think at the time, or fiance, whatever they were. She drove like 2 hours to place to come see it, saw it, fell in love with it, bought on the spot, gone. So I know who the last owner was. I see she had the car. There was an accident on the car shortly after she got it. And then it transferred to another guy, both from like Kingston or where they were. So I try searching him up because he's the last owner. Searching. And then turns out through Facebook, I find him. Talked to him for a while. He didn't believe who I was. He was like kind of skeptical. Anyways, we finally got on the phone
Right,
together.
'cause how many nuts out there are trying to buy back their first vehicle?
Well, he said, and I said, the history stopped a long time ago.
Right.
So what the heck happened to that car? He goes, well, buddy, I didn't know I was the last owner because, now I think about it. She had the accident. We had to put the car in my name because of the accident for her insurance. She left me shortly afterwards, took off with the car to BC, didn't realize it was still in my name. But there's no history for the car in BC. And she's nowhere to be found. I'm trying to search every variation of her name.
So you never found it.
So I'm searching for a year, can't find her. I realized, oh, wow, I had a PI before on something. Let me see if the PI can help me. So I call the PI, tell the PI a year later, I need to find this. This is bugging me. I need to know because I'm telling you this car is on block somewhere. I need this car back. I need to know. Takes the PI about 2 months. Doesn't find her, but he finds the last name variation in the area where she's supposed to be at because the boyfriend confirmed what area she moved in BC, rural BC. I find him through him. I find the son and I find her. Reached out to both of them. She reaches out to me a week later, says to me, I was a little skeptical because I don't want anybody bothering me, but I realize who you are now and I remember you with the car. You'll have to talk to my son. He's the one managing the car. I talked to him. The son sends me pictures. He goes, the reason why there's no history on this car and everything else, because this car has not been driven in over 10 years. So this car rusted out. I got the exact same car otherwise, and I Frankenstein 2 cars together.
Oh, wow. So it's all parts car now. Oh,
and
man.
I sold off the engine. I sold off the seats. This car is now a Frankenstein car.
Oh, man.
But you know what? At least I know what happened to that car.
Right.
But I started thinking about it long and hard. Like I remember, you remember those old, Firebirds with the big bird on the hood, right?
Yep.
I always wanted one, everything else. And finally I found one and I said,
Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go see there's a black one with red interior. And I call up the guy and he goes, hey, yeah, my name's Lance. And I go, of course it is. Like who else would own a freaking 78, 79 Firebird but Lance, right? I go to see Lance. Lance is up, he's west, like it's Hamilton or somewhere, right? He's got the mullet, the mustache. Lance suits his car perfectly.
Yeah.
So we go take it for a test drive. We come back. He says to me, what do you think of the car? I said to him, you've kept the car in really good shape, Lance. It's a 78, right? He goes, yeah. Or 79? Yep. I told him the car drives like a 78, 79. For the year 2020 something, yeah, I'm past this. This ain't happening. I think I'm going to go buy a Corvette from 2010 or newer. Thanks, Vance.
Right,
Have a good day.
Exactly.
So what I'm saying is there's things we fall in love with when we're young. We have nostalgic feelings. You come back to it. It wasn't that impressive. It just was good at the moment.
For sure. At the time, it was more than we would ever expect to have. So it was a lot of fun. It made my teenage years quite interesting. So that's for sure.
And we still get into it in our little ways where we find things.
Absolutely.
Money is no object. As we're ending today's episode, we talked the last 2 weeks about luxury. We talked about sneakers, now watches, cars. If money is no object, number one, dream watch, what would you have?
Oh, I'm not Richard Mille. Yeah, maybe a Sirius AP. I don't know. I'm not I'm not an aficionado in that sense. I know what I like. If money's no object, I would obviously look for something that's rare and unique, and that suits me. So I don't know. There wouldn't be a specific. I can't name one off the top of my head.
Tell you what I would do.
Do it.
And I was actually going to do this trip back in 2019, 2020 before COVID. Then that ruined it because I was going to go with a couple of guys from our watch forum. But we were going to travel to Germany and go to Glasuda and Lange, the factories, and see how that's made. Because a lot of people associate quality watches with Swiss. Germans are doing pretty well with it. And I can tell you, I think in a lot of ways, a lot better. If I could have any watch, I think I want a high-end Lange. Honestly, I love just every little thing about it. So that's me, but everybody's a little different.
Everybody's different. Absolutely.
Same question now with cars. You could have any car, no money's no object. What would you have?
I would have the first vehicle that I would go out and buy. So win the lottery tomorrow. First vehicle I go out and buy would be a crazy 78 Ford Bronco, done up like complete resto mod. So from scratch, new electrical, braking system, engine, everything done up. It wouldn't be a supercar. It would be a Bronco like that. 65, 66 Impala convertible, resto mod, full electronic dash. I like the classics, you know. And if you went to something crazy, I mean, I love Ferraris. I've always loved Ferraris. So for me, it would probably be a Ferrari.
For the longest time, I would have said Ferrari. There's something about the look. You know, you got Lambos, Ferrari, Porsche. Everybody has their inkling to one. Like watches, it's going to be AP or Patek. It's usually people aren't both, right?
Right.
I would have said Ferrari for the longest time, except I sat in a couple of them, didn't even drive in them. I don't know if I could see it, but one thing I could see, seeing them on the road where I did, the Ford GT. I got to say.
Oh, yeah, those are crazy. Did you watch that Ford? You watched that. That was a great show. That was great.
After I saw that, I said, that's for me. So anybody watching this podcast, as far as if you have a connection to Ford GT and you want to sponsor the show and send over a GT, even for a year lease, I'm happy to do it. And big shout out to you.
There you go. You got to tag them, make sure.
All day long,
Add
baby.
them as a collaborator.
Yeah, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's a chosen life. And no, not everybody has the means. And a lot of people work hard and not getting there. Some do. Luxury has such a different connotation for so many people. And what I would say at the end of the day is, you know, you have the means, you work hard. Don't be embarrassed about it. Like, I never apologize for success. If people are able to do it, by all means, do it. Enjoy it. You live once. Why not?
Remember one thing, though. It doesn't define you.
No.
It doesn't define you. It doesn't make you any better. It does nothing. You know, it's a self thing. It really is. So don't let it be the thing that's going to make or break your world in any way whatsoever. It's all worth nothing. The way we came into this world is the same way we're going to go out.
People laugh at me because I always say I'm a minimalist. And they're like, how can you be a minimalist if you own over 100 pair of sneakers, you know?
Yeah.
I only collect now what I can actually use. If I can't wear it, drive it, whatever, I'm not going to own it. I'm just going to have stuff for the sake of having stuff. But a minimalist in the sense that if it goes away tomorrow, I'm fine. It's not going to affect me in the slightest. So I can have it while I'm enjoying it. But I agree with you, man. It doesn't define you.
Just material junk, man. That's it.
Yeah, whatever's your chosen life, go for it.
Exactly.
That's been Lahav Reznik.
Love you.
Forest Hill Vaughn. Legacy. Lahav, again, people want to reach out to you. Shout out. How do they connect with you best?
Lahav_Reznik. Find me on Instagram. Just add me for fun.
Yeah, and you know what? He will respond back. I may not always, but he will.
Oh, I do.
And catch me out because on The Chosen Life, and we're going on the road. We got our book, right? We got the Bible 3.0 on the tour in the U.S. Going to be in Arizona and various cities, Barnes & Noble. Come pick up your copy. Say hello. I'll even take a picture with you. And, man, you never know where life's going to reach, eh?
Agreed.
Funny how things go.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you for being here.
This has been amazing, man.
And we're not going to wait another 140-something episodes to have you back. We'll see you back in 2025. This has been the Chosen Life Podcast.